We spent the Easter holidays in a distant relative's cottage up on a mountain, somewhere in western Greece. The dogs had more than 5 acres to run free, explore, and get as dirty as they had ever been before, and we had an isolated paradise all to ourselves. One afternoon, the pigs showed up at the house. I come from a small village, so farm animals are more than familiar, but I had never seen such big pigs roaming free right there for me to observe and hang out with. I opened the door. The dogs went crazy. None of them had seen a pig before, and all three of them were curious, each one in their own way. Normally, you have goats and sheep running away when approached by a dog, but the pigs didn't. After an awkward first encounter, all 5 of them mingled as if they belonged to the same species, and I got my Kodak moments as usual. They were so big, so pink, and so calm. I took an apple in my hand and went to them. The bigger one was reluctant, although he didn't try to run off. The younger one took the apple right from my hand, thanked me with an adorable oink, and carried on digging and looking for roots, while I stayed there watching his ridiculous pink cuteness overwhelming me. I gave him a silly Greek name, but for this video I'm gonna call him Simon. Simon, his friend, the dogs, and I spent a week together. Every afternoon the pigs would come to the house, dig around, and enjoy the juicy fruit I had picked for them, and every morning the dogs and I would go meet them on the other side of the property in the orange grove. All 6 of us would walk among the trees. Every once in a while I'd pick oranges for them. They loved oranges. Simon would even walk right behind me and touch the back of my leg, making his adorable piggy sounds and asking for more fruit. Did you know that pigs can peel an orange better than we can? That they can figure out how to open doors? That they love to have their bellies rubbed? The first time Simon let me touch him, I almost lost it. Every day we became closer. He started coming to me whenever I called him. He'd let me rub his adorable pink fat body, and basically he trusted me to do anything I wanted with him. He had this constant smile on his face. All pigs do. For a whole week I treated Simon as if he was my pet. I spent so much time with him that the memories of this one and only week have somehow expanded in my head, making me feel like I've had him for years. One day we just left. I didn't even say goodbye. I got back to Athens and started preparing myself for my next encounter with Simon. I had all this information I had found online about pigs and couldn't wait to share all that with him. The following summer we were back at the cottage. I had been preparing about my reunion with Simon for months, but Simon wasn't there. Neither was his friend. Weeks ago, both of them had been slaughtered for their meat. In fact, parts of Simon were waiting in the house's freezer for us to cook and enjoy, courtesy of the owner, Simon's owner. I had forgotten about that completely. Simon and his friend were bred for one reason, and I was just the stupid city girl who spent a few days hanging out with a pig and thought she could change the world. I didn't cry for Simon. And the reason I didn't is because I'm not a 10-year-old girl anymore. I've shed my tears too many times back in my hometown for all the bunnies, the sheep, and the goats I used to feed and pet, and then were served to me for lunch. Most kids in Greece have. I spent 2 weeks there without Simon, and I missed him so much. I walked my dogs every day among the orange trees, imagining that he'd show up running to greet us while making his silly noises. But he never did. My only comfort is that Simon had a good life, a happy life of freedom, and he was loved. I loved him. Compassion is one very complicated feeling. I don't know when or why we humans developed such a feeling, but many of us are born with it. Among all the things I read about pigs, there's one that I can't forget, and since I've been trying with little success to come up with an ending to this video, I'll just quote this. In his book, The Whole Hog, biologist and Johannesburg Zoo director Lyle Watson writes, I know of no other animals who are more consistently curious, more willing to explore new experiences, more ready to meet the world with open-mouthed enthusiasm. Pigs, I have discovered, are incurable optimists and get a big kick out of just being.